As business owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us to find the time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really want to do, unfortunately, taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries.
With the DJ Scratch. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Burn and Return. Just a heads up, we're going to have to do this a little bit differently tonight just because we had an overwhelming amount of information that was sent to us via our mailbag. Jeffy, can you get that mailbag sound real quick? I caught him off guard.
You've got mail.
He was flipping through the screen.
He was looking for it.
Damn it. Of course he did that right now. Anyway, so we had a ton of that, and so we're gonna alter our script a little bit. We're gonna have a little bit of an alter show where we are gonna do an extended segment of the mailbag. We got one story. It sounds like we've reached to totality, and so we'll cover that, and then of course, DeMay is gonna hem haw us with a lovely episode of Joe Knows Turf. So, welcome aboard our not necessarily abbreviated but reorganized version of Burn and Return. That out of the way, gentlemen. How the hell are y'all doing?
Well, it's the mailbag here at the Grass Factor is much like the ball bags. When they fill up, you got to empty them because you don't want to be walking around with a loaded gun out there. Am I right, Ray?
Yes. Absolutely not. No,
See?
No walking around with loaded guns. That's bad.
That's bad. All right. So don't have to be in Chicago to know that. I mean, this goes for anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Ball bags, mail bags.
Yeah.
Just keep them empty at all times. Everybody's safer that way.
Absolutely, Ryan. Absolutely. I mean, you know what, guys? As an editorial note, this is going to be my first June where I don't feel and look like absolute shit.
You're a boy, right?
I'm not kidding about
You're a boy.
I'm not kidding about that because
all I heard. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
Because up
His
until
balls
now, not yet, but anyway, yeah, this is the first year where I'm not sick. I'm not withering, and I'm not wondering how bad I'm going to be by December. This is the first year.
All I heard there is that Ray and Sheila are going to engage in some role play where Ray is like an 1880s steam train conductor. He's going to put on the overalls, the hat, and he is going to pour the fucking coal to Sheila's firebox. And I can't wait to see it. You hear that? That's the steam.
That I thought, yeah, that's the firebox is steaming something
Hot.
or another. Yeah, it's fire. That being said, let's go ahead and we'll jump into this. Let's see what's going on with the ever expanding, overflowing mailbag, ball bag.
There's a bag. I don't know. All right, so which one are we doing first? Oh, it's
Yeah, we'll kick off here with what do you think, Dave Hines? Start there.
Yeah, we can start there. We can just read it.
All right, we'll go here. So Dave wrote in and he said, I'm looking to level my lawn to obtain a slightly smoother lawn. I was wondering what would be the best lawn leveling mix to top dress with. Specifically, I was trying to decide between 100% sand or a 25% compost, 75% sand mix. As a background, I have 7,000 square feet of Kentucky bluegrass lawn with a coarse soil, clay, and a 7.5 pH. Located in central Iowa, this year I've applied 2 applications of elemental sulfur, 2 applications of ammonium sulfate, and 1 application of urea to lower the pH and provide nitrogen. So far, I have about 1.5 pounds of N-down per 1,000. Central Iowa, Kentucky bluegrass, high pH, well, over 7 pH. Gentlemen, I'm gonna, in my opinion, the simplest in terms of predictability, in my opinion, would be sand. Simplest in terms of like, you know, probably not needing to do a whole lot the rest of the year, but not necessarily having the most level lawn would be compost, right? Because the advantage of using compost is that one, you're the amount that you have to water during the grow in period and all that theoretically may be reduced depending on the quality of compost you have, and you're also going to get some fertility out of it as well too. However, as that degrades and mineralizes, you're going to get more settling than you would with just 100% sand. Now, with sand, you'll have less settling, an overall more level output versus your input, and but it could be a little bit touchier on water. And I don't know how statistically significant that would be, but I would guess it's going to be a little bit touchier on water, and you still have to maintain your fertility program to encourage that recovery. So if it were me and I were doing it, I personally would choose just all sand. So I don't have to worry about any particular weeds that came in. I don't have to worry about the pH of the compost I'm using. Is it actually compost that's going down? Is it just a bunch of litter from leaf piles and all the other shit? So I think, in my opinion, y'all tell me if I'm full of shit or not, sand just makes more sense to me. What would y'all do?
I agree with that. That I think from a sourcing standpoint and from a application standpoint, that sand will be your best bet. I also think too that it gives you a little bit wider berth on like the lifts or the deflection that you have, right? So if you have areas where you're, plus or minus, an inch and a half or something like that, where you could have a spot that's an inch and a half higher right next to a spot that's an inch and a half lower, that's 3 inches of deflection, right? And if you're trying to incorporate sand and compost into that and level things off, you have that big of a deflection, it's going to be a problem. Like you're just not going to get there. Or if you do, it's going to like what Matt was just alluding to. And I know Ray is teed up, ready to go about putting compost on the lawn. So I'll stop there. Ray, you're
Yeah.
ready. Look, you're ready to jump through the screen.
Yep. Yep. Because compost is an example of a material that can potentially create more problems than it solves. And if you're trying to level an area, my nightmare is I level it, I get it all good, and then 25% of that material then just starts to randomly shrink and compact back down, and it does so in an unpredictable manner. And the next issue that I have is with compost, you put down compost on that lawn, that may be the last time you put nitrogen on that yard for the next 5 years. Here's why. Compost is like a 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. I mean, depending on how it's sourced, right? You might think, oh, that is nothing, but then, sir, think about how much compost you're actually applying. You're not applying 20 pounds of that per 1,000 square foot. You're applying that by the ton per 1,000 square foot. So theoretically, you're applying a lot of nitrogen. Beware. My next question is water retention. To me, water retention is a double-edged sword because, when you're managing high expectation, high quality turf, water retention is not my friend. Because for me, I always tell people it is easy for me to add nutrients and add water. It's tough for me to take it away. It's just like me going in there and, okay, I'm going to put like a shit ton of salt and pepper on this pasta. Too much. Now I'm stuck. I cannot take it away. And that's the same situation that has with compost, in that a lot of people sell compost as an easy button, but it's anything but an easy button, because that then takes away your control over that area. You just got to ride the lightning.
There it is. Southeast Minnesota Dan wrote in and he said, boys, y'all are clearly homoerotic with your sleeveless shirts on. I'm just kidding. He did not write that. Just to add from what I think I've learned from you guys is, if it is dollar spot, do not use azoxystrobin on it. Correct. Use propiconazole, but it may be brown patch. Then make sure propiconazole and azoxystrobin can be used. Again, I've never dealt with fungus, so I may be way off. And then JPEG, if you can kind of open this question here, and he did, he actively circled some lesions that we see here. And so what I am going to do is that we're going to take a look at the shapes of the lesions that he has circled here. And then I pulled up a couple of textbook like pictures. And we'll start number one with the first picture I sent, JPink. If you could take a look at this, and this is Pythium, is what I sent. You can clearly see what almost looks like a moldy, kind of slimy look to it. You see the mycelium growing there. And then you can kind of see some lesions that are there. But mainly you've got this weird kind of moldy look. And I'll say that whatever disease Minnesota Dan had is beyond this point, right? So it's not quite there. But if you do go back to Minnesota Dan's picture there, it looks like there's mycelium in it, but I know he's also in southeast Minnesota, so these are more than likely from cottonwoods. The easy thing to do is to rub it between your fingers. If it dissolves into absolutely nothing, then that's mycelium. It just kind of leaves like water on your hand. But if it actually retains almost like a cottony fibrous, cellulosic type material, then that would be either some sort of webbing material, or a from a tulip poplar or cottonwood, whatever you call them in your area. So I'm not entirely. I'll tell you right now. Then now, if we go to the next one, JPEG, the next picture here that I sent, this is more your tried and true brown patch, right? Where you kind of have these irregularly shaped patterns. You have that brown, almost black edge to it. It normally doesn't cross the entirety of the leaf. You just see a chunk of the leaf that's infected. And then if you go to the last picture, JPEG, this is dollar spot. It has more of that traditional hourglass-esque shape to it. It actually does cross the entirety of the leaf blade. And so you've got green on one side, you got green on the other side, and then you've got this indentation there where it's kind of dried up and shriveled up. So this is your traditional dollar spot. So taking a look at Minnesota Dan's picture, I'm going to lean that this is more than likely brown patch, possibly Pythium that hit. I don't know if he's going through the heat wave that the rest of the country is. I'd have to take a look at his weather data. But I would say that if he's experiencing 90s and high humidity, then more than likely it's Pythium. I would say if he's experiencing 80s and high humidity, more than likely it's brown patch. And it's just that's a very vague generalization. I can say that I'm fairly confident this is not dollar spot, but it's hard to tell at this point because it's run its course. So if it were me, I personally would go with azoxystrobin and propiconazole, but that's just me. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think, and if you would have a different approach to this.
Ray, you want to go first? Or me?
Go ahead, Ryan. This is your ball.
Fair enough. So I think here with Dan, run it. I want to go back in his comment here and just read one quick thing. So he has not used any fungicide leading into this. Okay. So a few things, right? It's been really, really wet in southeastern Minnesota here the last week or so. Probably actually a bit longer than that. So conditions are ripe out there for a variety of things. These spots, I'm going to say right now, it's really, really hard to tell, but I'm leaning towards brown patch in this particular case. The idea of going out with, two modes of action, there's nothing wrong with that with azoxystrobin, propiconazole. Probably going to be most easily procured from Dan's point of view. and then get out there and get in front of this. I don't necessarily think that you're going to have much of an issue. I sure would like to see, does he have any other photos here that just that one? Yeah, that one's tough to tell. I would sure love to see a wider angle of it, and then some of the grass blades a little bit closer up than just this. I think this looks like a zoomed in.
This has
photo
been
here.
part of a kind of an email thread over the last several episodes. So give me a minute. He might have sent us something previously. We can go to Ray and then circle back to me.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Here's my opinion on this is that knowing the conditions that have been existing in that region, wow. I mean, what is it? Hotter and wetter than Sheila on Saturday night?
There you go.
Okay. That
In June.
to me, in June. Ooh, yeah, that's right, June. Okay. So my approach to this condition, and I've actually had to answer questions from other people elsewhere about disease on their cool season grass in their Midwest, and my immediate advice to them was, okay, 1, you are going to cover for dollar spot. 2, you are going to cover for brown patch. And 3, you will also cover for Pythium. And if you truly value your lawn, what that looks like is azoxy plus propiconazole, or else triadimethon plus trifloxystrobin, also known as Armada, plus phosphatyl L.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I mean, I'm not fucking around here, because what I know about Pythium is that Pythium is a case of a disease where it's okay until it's not okay, and all of a sudden you realize that by July, half of your lawn is gone. Because with Pythium moves fast, right? It doesn't move slow. I mean, I'm talking about your lawn is okay this week, and next week it's not okay. It's dead. And if you're in those kind of conditions, I also have to advise on relying on certain types of fungicides during periods of high Pythium pressure. Because I know a common fun.
Open these pictures, JP, because I think this is we're going to have our answer here. If you do one of the ones that shows more of the entirety of the yard, everything that I see, this is the problem when you try and diagnose off just one image, right? So we were just looking at a zoomed in spot of just a few visual lesions. Okay. Now, when we are looking at, when we look at it zoomed out at the entirety of the lawn, the way this pattern is spread, you see $50, full dollar size spots sprinkled throughout it. Now we're looking more and more like dollar spot, right? Now, here's the thing is that are you going to be, if you walked out into your lawn right now, I don't care where you are, and if you're going through the heat wave right now, which I think the overwhelming majority of the country is, and you walk outside and you look, you're going to find lesions on your grass somewhere, without a doubt. The question becomes, is the pressure high enough that it's actually going to start wiping out grass at a scale that is no longer tolerable to you, right? Because you're not going to keep it in the same way, right? When we approach pest management, and when I say pest management, pesticide management, is it feasible to keep 100% of the weeds out of a property at all fucking times? No, absolutely not. Sometimes you got a handful of weed. Sometimes you just let it go. Sometimes you don't notice it, and it's been there for 3 months and it hadn't even come above the canopy yet due to the growing conditions. So is it feasible that you have 100% weed pressure control at all times? No. In the exact same way, is it feasible that you have 100% disease pressure control at 100% of the time? No, absolutely not. So even though we found a zoomed in picture where we would identify a couple lesions that could draw the conclusion that, oh, well, all of the damage must come from those 1 or 2 lesions we found. Now that we see the overall pattern that's in play here, we have a better understanding that no, those are probably just fluke lesions that we managed to find in the midst of trying to scope as we go through the diagnostic process of trying to figure out what it is affecting this turf. So now that we take into account more variables, in this particular instance, the size of the disease, the pattern that it's shown as in the way it's affected the turf, this is very clearly dollar spot. All right, I have no other doubt that this is dollar spot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't have a doubt.
in reference to his question, if it is dollar spot, okay, here's the thing is that can you use azoxystrobin with propiconazole on dollar spot? Headway does list dollar spot as being controlled by those two. I can say that, I've only attempted this on, I do not deal with dollar spot where I live. I did a little bit. I would see it on Bermuda and shit. Even when I was further south, I never saw it, period. Like when I was in Augusta, dollar spot wasn't even really a thing. Occasionally you'd see it in Memphis during the green up. Here, you don't see fucking dollar spot on tall fescue or Bermuda. And so it's not really something I had to deal with. On the occasion that I did, and I did apply headway, it was effective. But again, my pressure is extremely low. I'm not like DeMay is in the Midwest where it ain't just a little bit of dollar spot. It is holy fuck you. That is a monumental amount of dollar spot. I've never seen that in person before. So, your mileage may vary where I can say, yes, I can run headway and it's not going to flare the dollar spot. I'll actually get a fair amount of control out of it. That might not apply to DeMay. So I'm curious, DeMay, in this particular instance, would you feel comfortable using a headway with this kind of dispersion, or would you just run propiconazole? Then given the heat with where the heat is, what do you have major concerns? I mean, the turf looks exceptionally healthy. So in my opinion, I think it would be fine.
Like southeast Minnesota. Let me take a look. Yeah, I mean the temperatures are moderating big time. Wow. I mean they've got highs in the 70s. There's a day in the 60s next week up that way. So I think he's going to be fine. If it were me, especially with that weather coming, it would be propiconazole, like 1.5 ounce rate, and then some nitrogen to help grow out of that. So you're going to get a little bit of suppression from your DMI with the propiconazole, but got to get things to check up here a little bit, stop things where they're at, and then a FERT will help you go through it. I'd say it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And
this
I'm on board.
Save, J-Pink.
Yeah. No,
we're about to cut this guy's liver out.
Yep. And this is where, for me, I would agree with the dollar spot as well, except my preference for DMIs goes a little different, especially for dollar spot, because my preferred DMI for dollar spot goes to either myclobutanil or triadimethon. However, the way I get those two DMIs to really kick some ass on the dollar spot is it's never just a fungicide, because in this case, I'm going out with, for example, myclobutanil plus some AMS or urea plus some soluble iron. 1, 2, 3, apply it. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to give you the best chance of the lawn greening back up and you making this disease condition subside, because I've seen it somewhere where somebody did some work on that, maintaining a certain iron and nitrogen level in the turf grass actively reduced incidence and severity of dollar spot in cool season turf. I saw some research on that, so that's where I would go.
All right, I gotta put this down. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna move on unless you got something else.
No, nope. I just got a late entry for Jenna's turf.
Oh, okay.
Might
Okay.
supersede. Sorry.
Eric Schott said, when listening to the discussion about Dr. Shattuck's in-only comments, to me, he's talking about, he is not talking about the professional, but rather you at your house and me. Let me explain. I think he's talking to you and Uncle Rick at the end of the street that are generally happy with their lawns and it is meeting the needs and looks good enough to them. Just want to maintain a usable lawn. The second is me, who is not completely happy with all of my lawn, but need to focus on the problem areas and the areas in the bottom of the pyramid getting water, light, and grading right. Lastly, I feel his point is that when previously satisfied Rick calls and says H has a problem on the left side of his driveway, we should check irrigation and the other bases before we start chasing boron. Second, that is 100% fair. I think you're exactly right. Second thing is Tahoma 31 Bermuda update. Got the sod put down last July and watered it like a terrorist in Guantanamo Bay over the summer. Came in great. Had a cold snap down in the low teens over Halloween that checked it out. Was showing some color early April and kicking along nicely, but May 1st, rotary mowing at 1.5 inches with a little push mower. Planning on doing some leveling with topsoil this summer. My mailbag question is really on the quest for Bermuda spread. Culturally, I'm mowing as low as the mower will go as often as I can with a few feet apron around it, trying to advantage the warm season over the cool season grasses. Verticutting with the local Home Depot power rake rental suffice. Would spreading spoils into healthy cool season work? Would spreading spoils? Is that, are you talking like seed heads or
Sprigs? I think it might be autocorrect.
Yes,
I think it might have been autocorrect. Yep.
No, you're right. I assume treat that like sprigs and water the hell out of it. With spreading mowing clippings have any use? Plan A was a spray in April with Monument. Looking more into it, I was not comfortable with the tight application rates and complexity of surfactants. Just not there in my applicator journey yet. I've looked at some less complex herbicide options, but at this point, I am not planning on any this year. What I am planning and wanting some feedback on is advantaging the warm season over cool season with fertilizer throughout the summer heat. Can this work? And if so, how much is enough? Too much? Thanks for all the help and thought-provoking conversation. Yeah. So, guys, there's kind of a lot here to unpack. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the Dr. Shattuck thing because I think he's exactly right. That again,
yeah,
he is Shattuck's producing all this content for the guy who has, 6,000 lawns under his belt and is trying to give you the strategy of how to grow your 6,000 account business to 10,000 accounts? No, 100% not. He's talking about maximizing your return on investment for every dollar you spend on your property, right? Where are you going to get your highest ROI? And I think that's clear cut, easy to deduce. Now, when it comes to spreading your Bermuda grass, right, there's one of the things that I kind of want to get into you about here. Okay, so you're mowing at 1.5 inches. You're trying to go as low as you go. Here's the thing: is okay. How do I make this sound as less controversial as it is? Your height of cut isn't as important as the amount of clippings you remove per cut. Okay, and I think this is even more so influenced by the type of mower you're using. So, in my opinion, with a rotary mower, you are going to get a lot more lateral spread at 2 inches, 2.5 inches, than you will at 1.5 inches, or heaven forbid, even something like 1 inch. Unless you're able to maintain the level and frequency that you are, your removal rate is so small that you're nowhere near the stems.
Matt, I need to actually. Do you know why I am so opposed to rotary mowers on warm season grasses? Do you know why I'm so opposed to them?
Sure, tell me.
Let me explain why. It is because a rotary mower, when you try to get a rotary mower down to low heights of cuts, here's what's happening. that rotary mower is literally catching on the stolons that are trying to crawl on the surface, picking them up and yanking them out. It's yanking on the grass. It's not allowing the grass to necessarily tack down. And so, when you said mow higher with the rotary mower, that's exactly it. Because what I don't like to see people do with the rotary mower on their warm season grass is set their rotary mower low. Especially if they have a more consumer grade rotary mower that is not generating the high blade tip speeds such that it stands a better chance of actually cutting the grass. If you have a low powered consumer rotary mower and you're jamming that through that thick Bermuda turf and all it's doing is it's just yanking stolons, I think you're doing more harm than good at that point. And this is where what I would actually do if I wanted to make that Bermuda be at the advantage when I'm trying to make it take over a cool season turf area, I would bite the bullet, stop fudging around, and just get the damn real mower. Just do it. Because this is a real half-assed way to do it with a rotary mower.
Yeah, I'll say this, Eric, is and this is no lie. A lot of times, like, I may go an entire month without mowing, just to give it time to just do its thing and divert energy where it's going to go. And a lot of times you would be shocked, especially like if you kill a surrounding area, you create that apron and you just stop cutting your Bermuda grass, you would be freaked the fuck out at how much it just ran into it. You'd be like, what is going on? And you're going to have 4.5-inch tall Bermuda and it's going to be scraggly as hell. And you're going to see it all tacking down to that apron. And it's going to go against everything you've ever been told about mowing frequency and everything else. You got to think every time you cut, there's a lot of injury that takes place there, right? And so, you're balancing your injury ratio versus, new root and shoot development. So try and keep that in your mind.
Okay, I can corroborate and agree with that, because do you know what I do to a turf area that I need to make filled in? Do you know what I do to it? Stop fucking mowing it. That's what I do to it. Stop mowing. Keep the mowers off of it until the turf does its thing. And this is applicable to warm season grasses that are stoloniferous. I mean, I literally say, okay, we have a 3-week mowing moratorium until I see the grass sending out its stolons into the areas that I want it to send stolons to. Because, like I said, especially if someone's mowing equipment is not something like a greens mower, and they're using something like a rotary mower or, God forbid, a string trimmer, that mowing injury can often be the factor that keeps the grass from filling in, versus if you were to just leave it be for about 2 or 3 weeks. I can confirm that too, Matt.
And do you I totally get it with Monument, and like you're not there in your journey, man. Trust me. Yeah, I get it. No one should take that herbicide lightly. It's not forgiving in that sense. And when you get there, you'll get there. I will say, if you want to play around with rates of glyphosate, is actually beautiful for this scenario. 16 ounces per acre, 32 ounces per acre is sufficient in going to knock out the majority of your cool season grass. You're going to see probably some clumps of K31 will pull through that, no problem. It will not. It'll knock the dick out of the Bermuda, but the Bermuda is going to come back. It's definitely not going to kill it. Okay. So there will be about a 2-week window under which it goes through some death. You're going to see some material start to move into it. By 4 week, anything that was going to survive will survive. Again, that's low rate glyphosate. We're 16 ounces an acre, 32 ounces an acre. We're talking low rate stuff here. And it is more forgiving than Monument would be. What do you got, Domain?
I got a lot. I'll just say this is that I agree on the mowing equipment. I think that what I've seen from Tahoma in the Midwest, which is on my very small sample size, is that you can maintain it effectively at a low height of cut at an inch, let's say, with a rotary mower. Now the key here is, I think we've seen this through establishment, we've seen this through maintenance, is that you've got to have some type of a rolling component that goes along with your mowing. That's the big deal. So if you are just out there push mowing this, Eric, with just your regular old snapper push behind, actually raise his snapper, you push from the front. That's a different story. But with this here, nobody got that. That was a good one. Fuck.
Sorry, I'm too monitoring
okay.
here.
So the big thing there is that if you can roll it. So JP, throw those photos up. Let me show you real quick. This is an establishment on Tahoma. So 11 days after spring, just what you'd expect to see 11 days after spring. There's not a whole lot going on there. Okay. So then fast forward here about another 30 days. That's all mowed with a rotary mower. So what Ray is saying is true, that there is some lift that you get on those real long runners. But the thing with these newer vegetative types is those runners, and Tahoma is way different than what like Iron Cutter is, for example. You'll get a little bit longer runners, but nothing crazy on this to where you won't so much lift it up. But the rolling component, so this is getting mowed probably 4 or 5 times a week. It's getting rolled every single day. So just that rolling component of getting those runners to tack in is a huge thing. So E-Shot, even if you just put one of those, like whatever, those big league lawn stripers or whatever, put those back. This is another 30 days later. So this is end of August, mowed with a rotary. So it can be done. It's an aggressive grass. As far as like getting it to take over in other cool season areas, absolutely chop out just a small little divot sized piece, fix it like a ball mark on a green, take that little piece, toss it and sprig it into cool season and just watch it spread. We've got a section of grass that I've just chopped up and put little pieces in over the years. It's almost completely taken over here in the last probably 3 or 4 years. That's all Bermuda. So definitely doable.
And I'll say this, that when it comes to warm season fertility, especially with Bermuda grass, like forgiving is an understatement, right? Like you're not going to overdo it. You can in a single application. Don't get me wrong, you can. But if you're going out a half pound every 2 weeks, yeah, that is for certain going to show priority to the Bermuda grass over your cool season grass. It's very aggressive, and it's going to grow its ass off. But for all intents and purposes, what you're looking to do, it's going to be very unfriendly to your cool season grass, and it'll be very friendly to your Tahoma 31.
Exactly, because that's like the last piece of this is, if I wanted to disadvantage cool season grass and advantage the Bermuda grass that I had plugged or otherwise introduced into the cool season area, I would literally be doing 1/3 to 1/2 of a pound of nitrogen every 2 weeks from now till September. I'd be just doing it every 2 weeks, keep on going now till September. And that is in conjunction with manipulating mowing. And Ryan, you just said something very key about a minute ago.
Wow.
The other reason why I'm particularly fond of greens mowers is because, that cast iron filled aluminum drum that is often a component of most greens mowers?
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, That is my best friend as far as rolling down loose stolens and getting them to tack in and establish. That is my best friend, literally, because I'm rolling around a 250-pound machine on the lawn every week anyway. And that roller helps as far as getting things to tie down versus, I'm going to use that janky rotary mower on this lawn and wonder why the damn lawn looks so thin. Just saying.
There it is.
So let's see here. We have Jason wrote into us. He said, I've been binge listening to your newly discovered podcast and love the content. Keep it up. Thank you for listening, James. Jason, I'm sure we'll piss you off at some point. My apologies in advance. I have a Kentucky bluegrass lawn, 42,000 square feet. Oh, by the way, I saw Timmy comment earlier and he said, brown patch would be rare in Kentucky bluegrass, right? And I would assume, I don't know a shit ton about Kentucky bluegrass, but yeah, that's not one of the. I hear summer patch a whole lot, but as far as like Rhizoctonus salina on Kentucky bluegrass, I don't hear that a lot. And Timmy has a brain. He might remember Southeast Minnesota. Dan has Kentucky bluegrass. I don't remember that. Timmy, what was it Driver was calling you last night? Boy, Driver had an epic meltdown last night, by the way. And I know this is so much inside baseball, but holy shit, did he have another meltdown. First, the other night on Robert, he went out, Robert, our guest just the other night, he told him, I'm sorry your parents didn't love you enough. And because now he is a stay-at-home dad to help raise his newborn. He said, "Oh, you must be allergic to it." I mean, he just took it totally personal. I mean, he personally attacked
what?
me.
Oh my God!
Robert Driver has not been in great shape right now. He's got a lot of like real world pressure going. Oh, he just moved and all that fun stuff, and the pressure of being in a union, and we might have been attacking the union.
You are a fucking pussy.
And boy, oh boy, did man, Timmy got him good last night. It was fucking so good. Anyway,
we were gonna send a strippergram to draw. Oh, never mind. Would we do? You got the cop, you got the nurse. What would be the other? What would be the appropriate like an FAA agent? Oh yes, but from Delta with the purple uniform.
From Spirit Airlines or Southwest Airlines, two of his least favorite.
You gotta pay for every piece of clothing she takes off.
Kentucky bluegrass, 42,000 square feet, seeded in September 2021, located in central Minnesota, very sandy soil. Premium seed from a local sod company was used. Tall fescue clumps, assuming that's what they are, seem to be popping up everywhere, and also getting a lot of what looks like orchard grass germination from our field surrounding our lawn. Is there anything I can do to control the tall fescue and orchard grass without starting over with a lawn? I have a feeling that the orchard grass will be an ongoing battle if it remains in the open field. I've been mowing at 2.5 inches, hoping that the tall fescue and orchard grass won't tolerate this, and trying to go lower, but the lawn is pretty bumpy. Second issue is that I can't seem to get the color I was looking for from the grass. Seems really spotty in color. Some of the greenest spots in the yard are where my dogs urinated from where I spilled a bunch of SBM last year.
Soybean meal.
Oh, soybean meal. Okay. Any recommendations on fertilizer, maybe AMS? We currently use a hybrid type of fertilizer program, some synthetic, some organics, applying around 4 pounds of N per year. Organic, I typically use soybean meal. The lawn normally looks best with that, but it takes a while to notice any results. I've attached pictures with soil tests from April this year. All right, so first things, I'll try and take this point by point, is that with the tall fescue and orchard grass in a Kentucky bluegrass lawn, and based on this picture, dude, you are surrounded literally by a field. So you are naturally going to get ample encroachment of orchard grass and probably a lot of Kentucky 31, right? Because that flat out looks like pasture grass. Is there anything you can do to control that, like post-emergently? No. I hate to tell you, brother, but no. Spot applications or something, or when you overseed your lawn, overseed with a tall fescue Kentucky bluegrass mix. I know you probably don't want to overseed, and that's why you went with Kentucky bluegrass. But that might be a management method. It may not, just based on the aesthetic you're looking for, but it's an option, because the only other alternative would be to get in there and just dig them out, or spray them out with spot treatments of glyphosate, try and wick it. As far as your ID is concerned, I think you're exactly right. I think we do see some Kentucky 31 tall fescue. I definitely think we see some orchard grass in there. So I have no issues about that. Now, related to fertilizer, if you're in central Minnesota with sandy soil, I can tell you right now is that number one, I do not believe that there is a pH in central Minnesota of 6.2 anywhere.
Nope.
I do
I'm
not
believing
believe that at all. I would think at best your pH is 7.2, especially how at 4 pounds of N, this is the color response you get, and you're still getting color response from dog urine. If you're getting color response from dog urine and not 4 pounds of N per year, you're losing, your nitrogen use efficiency is too low, and the number one driver of nitrogen use efficiency going downward would be pH going upward. Okay, so and we've talked at length about my soil and why specifically there's nothing you can take from this test and let it guide any of your decision making process on what you do on your property. Zero. There's nothing about it. Nothing. We have done side-by-side comparisons from the same property, different soil test methodologies, and looked at how off the my soil test is at least 20 times. At least 20 times. And the pHs are so wildly off that it's almost nauseating to think that they would even report it. It's so bad. So this 6.2 here, I'm guarantee you. DeMay, on the off chance, have you ever heard of a soil pH in central Minnesota of 6.2?
I think it'd be highly unlikely. I'm sure there's pockets there that are that low pH, but given the evidence that's been given to us, pictures and all that, and the validity of the test that's being used here, I'd have to say that it's probably not correct.
Yep.
Hey.
So the other thing too that I can say is ammonium sulfate would be your friend, right? We can't trust this sulfur number, but one of the things that we can do is just we'll go ahead and make an assumption, because it's not going to harm anything and it's not going to cost you a significant amount of money. And you are able to elicit a response from soybean. Apply ammonium sulfate.
Wait, Matt, I see something in that grass that's catching my
What's
eye.
that? What is it?
His grass is this disgusting plasticky yellow color. Okay? This grass is this gross plasticky yellow color, and this to me screams high pH and not enough sulfur. And here's the thing about using organic shit on your lawn. You never know when you're going to get that nitrogen out of that hybrid organic, highly hyped crap. Okay? Stop it, please. Stop it. Save your money and just go down to the co-op and order a ton of ammonium sulfate. You'll be a lot happier in the end versus buying bags and bags of this stuff that is not even making the mark. Because you see, I'm going to guess that, if you were to lay down 1,000 square foot plot side by side of ammonium sulfate versus this hybrid organic fertilizer at equivalent amounts of nitrogen, I would be willing to put down money that the side that you applied the ammonium sulfate to would be greener. And on top of that, it would be greener for less money. Because you see, there's one more little thing about me too, in that I am cheap as well. Okay? I'm cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty simple, and Demay, said it very uh, articulated it very well. That with the evidence that we have here, and from our experience that we can kind of cross reference this on, there's no reason that you should not use ammonium sulfate as your primary nitrogen source moving forward. One of the things I would recommend is that your potassium levels here, your phosphorus levels here that are reported on this test. I wouldn't even worry about your micronutrient levels. You cannot trust them. Period. And so I would if you feel so inclined, have an actual lab test this using a different methodology, different extractant, like a Melic 3 test. Um, but again, just based on what we see here for the typical types of air reporting we see from my soil, ammonium sulfate makes the most sense. And if you were applying 4 pounds of N from ammonium sulfate and it doesn't look significantly better, that you're not going to, that you don't think to yourself, holy shit, what was I doing waiting so long to do that? I would be shocked, to be honest. I would legitimately be shocked.
because Matt, there are certain products that I can count on to perform for me. Ammonium sulfate is actually one of them. Because ammonium sulfate has a special place in my heart, because I know quite well I spray out 1/10 of a pound of ammonium sulfate or 2 cents of a pound of AMS. Somebody's going to have a green lawn this week, guaranteed.
Last one, and no, wait, nope, not last one yet. OLG Turf wrote in, and he said, "Hey, talk to Ryan and Ray. He sent me to you. I've been toying with the idea of doing Bermuda in my backyard for like 4 years in central Illinois. The backyard is very hot, dry, and windy during the warmer parts of the season, wide open with no shade. My question is this possible without having so much winter that it wouldn't be worth it, or are there hardier cultivars that would be better? I don't mind some winter kill. I'm honestly looking for a new challenge. I would greatly appreciate your input and insight on this." Talk to us, Demay. Central Illinois, okay. Obviously extended winter compared to what I'm used to. What kind of approach would you take to growing Bermuda in that area?
I don't know that it would be the worst thing in the world. There's a lot of Bermuda out that way, and obviously the improved vegetative varieties offer you um, a lot of protection, much more than their older counterparts against winter kill. So the only thing I would stress is that you got to have irrigation at least for establishment, and then supplemental if it gets really really hot and dry. You can't just leave it because your growing season's so short, right? So not only from the establishment point of view of, hey, we really only have about maybe 100 days to get it really good and established and get to 100% coverage. And just because we have coverage doesn't mean that we have the maturity of those plants that withstand winter, right? They've got to build roots, and that's really where the carbohydrate storage becomes really, really important to get them through winter. And that's honestly like one of the biggest differences in these cold tolerant varieties is that the root systems on them are both expansive and just I'll say it, they are the BBLs. They are thick as hell, and they offer a lot of carbohydrate storage. So, that all being said, you can't grow grass without water, and if you don't have access to that, you can't move a sprinkler around. Ever, it's going to be really, really hard to do. I'd be curious to see. I know Eshot did his up kind of close to his house. We were talking about him just a little bit ago, and his area is not massive. And I don't know how big oil cheese is. Did he mention that in the? Can't remember if he did or not. But in any regard, getting it watered to get it established from whether you're going to do sprigs or sods, absolutely critical. And then from there, you can step back. As far as mowing and maintaining it, year over year after it's been established, I don't think it would be a problem at all. You're going to have green grass from probably about the 1st of May up until end of October ish, roughly. So, if you can tolerate those dormant months, and as Matt was talking about earlier with eShot, your weed control strategy could just be as simple as, go out there and, dead of winter and you have a day that's, 40 or 50 degrees and rising, go ahead and spray Roundup over top of it, 16 fluid ounces per acre, good to go. That might be enough to get you by, but there's also other alternatives with herbicides for in-season use that you can use. to clean yourself up and make sure that things are good. But it's a challenge, just like anything else. And the pucker factor is, coming into May every year when things start greening up, is what's coming back and what's not. And if it doesn't come back, right, and it's not going to be like the entire lawn's going to be just smoke, right? It's going to be, spots here and there. What do? How are you going to reestablish? Is it something that you can make sprigs from what you have and, resprig the areas that are bad? Is it something that you're going to go out and buy sod? So having your pivot points of what you're going to do, those would be important too. And for whatever you do, just don't be like Ron Henry and go out there and in the bare spot seed Arden 15, because I'll get mad. There you have it.
Hey, last night I heard from somebody in Lincoln, Nebraska that did a Bermuda grass experiment in his lawn, and he gave me kind of a detailed synopsis of how it's been so far. And you know what he said? It's been doing fine. It's been doing fine. And the only thing that he's doing that's a little bit different from everybody else is he's mowing his with a greens mower at a 1/2 inch. And you know what he tells me? With that low mowing, it greened up on time and it came back beautifully, because when Bermuda goes dormant for the winter, and if it's high cut, you have all that dry, dormant material on top, sitting on top of the turf grass that's basically going to keep the new growth. And by the way, Bermuda grass, when Bermuda grass goes dormant, it has to come back from the rhizomes. So if you have all this dead shit sitting on top of it, that's just going to make it that much harder for it to come back. I'm just saying.
There it is.
There you
God. Okay. Last one here, and then we will get into Joe Knows Turf. We have. I just wanted to share. This is from Nasty Nate. Nate Alman is a good friend of ours, and he has been running some velocity experiments on his own properties that he maintains up in PA, going after POA with it. He ran 2 sequential applications of velocity and a new. So he's doing 2.25 ounces per acre, 2.25 ounces per acre of velocity with 18 ounces per acre of a new. This is after 2 applications, 17 days apart. And boy, oh boy, is the POA is pretty toasty. He said there are some areas where POA is hanging on, but by and large, I was gonna wait till JP got these put up, but we have a conversation ongoing. There we go. You can see. I mean, there's these are big dead areas where POA once was. So I would say that this here is very effective. What is interesting about this is that I think Paul Outlaw, probably better than anybody, did such a great job of showing the degree of suppression that we get out of a new, and Nate kind of took that a step further by combining it with the velocity there. And I mean, there's no doubt about it. That is not suppression there. That's death, my friend. That you have successfully killed POA. Now, that's not a cheap application, but for those of you that are in high pressure, high expectation situations, I wanted to go ahead and share it in case it fit your management style there. So anyway, there we are. Okay, that out of the way, let's check out this week's Joe Knows Turf.
Joe Knows Turf. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because Joe knows turf.
Joe does know turf. At least he thought he did anyway. So in this week's episode, there is a gentleman that is known to many well, or few, as the DIY lawn coach. And this gentleman's name is Devin. He's located in Western North Carolina, and he has a YouTube channel, a website, and is offering some advice. And so he's got a video here that we're going to watch that compares and contrasts the cost of doing it on your own, right, as far as applications and whatnot, versus hiring a lawn care professional. So let's dive in and watch this and see what we see.
What's up, y'all? My name is Devin, the DIY lawn coach. Thank you so much for coming back for another video. So, have you ever wondered what it costs to have a nice looking lawn? Maybe you have been thinking about getting into lawn care and just weren't sure how much it costs. Well, in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it costs to have a great looking lawn. And you're gonna be really surprised by the results. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, give the video a like. Let's get into the video.
I don't want to knock it. His yard looks good. I just want to get that. I got no problem.
All right, so before we get started, I just want to say none of the costs that I'm giving you include any equipment. So no mowers, no backpack sprayer, pump sprayer, weed eater, trimmer, any of that stuff. This is just the chemical applications or fertilizers, pest control, pre-emergent, all that stuff. Exactly what it costs for each application based on 1,000 square feet. So, just to kind of tell you a little bit about my situation in my yard, I've got a tall fescue lawn, turf type tall fescue lawn. I live here in Western North Carolina. My lawn is 20,000 square feet. So, depending on your lawn size, the average lawn I think is between 5,000 and 7,000 square feet. So I definitely have a much larger than average lawn size. So it does cost me a little bit more, but you're gonna find out a little bit later that I broke everything down based on 1,000 square foot sections. So let's say you have a 5,000 square foot lawn. If it costs $1 per 1,000 square feet, you would just multiply that times 5, and that would tell you that it only cost you $5 to make that application. So wanted to keep it simple, wanted to keep it really easy for you guys. I also am gonna leave a link down below, or I'm also gonna put this on my website, to a breakdown of everything that I'm talking about, just so that you guys can reference that later if you're interested. So my website, thediylawncoach.com, feel free to check that out there, or I've linked it down below. So when I started making my notes for this video, I thought, how cool would it be to call a couple professional spray companies and just see what they would charge for me to, for them to take care of my lawn for me for a whole year. And I'll first say I've never had a professional company. I've never dealt with one before. No matter where I've lived, and taking care of my lawn, I've never had a professional company. So let me say this is, by no means me bashing them or talking bad about them or the people that work for them or for those companies. It was just, as someone who takes care of their own lawn, learning about the process and how they build their program, was just fascinating. I learned a whole lot through that program. So just want to say, I'm not trying to bash these companies, but I called two companies. I called one, which is a national company that you've probably heard of, and the other one is more of a local company here in Western North Carolina that both of these companies do not do any mowing. So it was strictly just weed control, fungus control, mosquito control, and so on and so forth. So first thing they wanted to make sure that I knew was that the cost that they gave me was based on my exact, my yard, and it was for 1 year. So for a full calendar year. It did not include any seed or any aeration. And neither one, only one of them included a fungus control for the year, which I thought was really interesting because fungus is just something that there's no way to avoid it in this part of the country with the temperatures the way they are, the rain, and if you have a tall fescue lawn or a cool season lawn, there's no way of getting around it. So why would they not include that? I don't know. So basically all the treatments really included was a lime treatment, fertilization, preventative weed control, preventative grub control, a weed treatment if needed. And again, only one of the companies actually included fungus in their year plan. So we'll start with the first company, company number one, and they quoted me $1,170 for a full year's treatment, which was 9 visits. Okay. And so the way I understood it, and just kind of a blanket statement here, I'll be honest, I have no idea what I was really paying for, other than the 1170 and then 9 treatments. What are they applying? How much are they applying? What am I getting for my money? That was kind of the overall theme of calling both of these companies. So again, 1170 per year, so which comes out to be about $130 a month. And that did include, fertilization, weed control, like I mentioned before, preventative grub control, weed control, so pre-emergent, and then maybe a lime, which they didn't even say if either one of these companies never mentioned a soil test. So I don't know why they would be applying lime to my yard if they've never done a soil test. So I'm assuming that they would do that before they ever started the program. Again, I'm not sure. This particular first company does charge extra for mosquito control. They quoted me $40 extra a month for that. They did include 3 fungicide treatments. So I'm assuming that's, in addition to, maybe fertilizing. They did mention they only do 2 fertilizations a year. And that's one in the beginning of the season when they put down their pre-emergent for weed control, and then another fertilization in the fall, which, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but if you're following my program, there's no way 2 fertilizations is enough to have a high-end lawn. But again, that's what you're paying for.
Ooh.
So for $130
right
a
there.
month.
Wait, do what?
All right, so let's set the stage here. So 20,000 square feet of tall fescue in North Carolina, not far, about halfway between Charlotte and Asheville, North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
The lawn does look good. Not going to sit here and
Looks
deny
good,
that. The Yard Mastery sticker on the mower is a little unbecoming, and the socks and Crocs have really set some people off in the chat. I'm just going to go ahead and comment on that. Be that as it may, so we're comparing the cost of lawn care companies to doing it yourself, right? And he does make a couple key distinctions there. He's not going to bash him, but this is basically, I'm not going to bash him. And this is an 18-minute and 54-second long video, but we had about 4 minutes of, with all due respect, and then the part that comes after. So we'll see how this all ends up. Okay. The other thing that's interesting is that he mentions, and I'm not sure if it's tipping his hand there or what, but it does not include any equipment. It doesn't include anything else, right? The overhead that it takes to run a business. So this is not necessarily a apples to apples comparison off the jump, but I appreciate him, calling in to presumably True Green or somebody like that, right? And then a local company. Now, I do want to ask Matt and Ray, to his point about he doesn't know what he's paying for, right? How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the quantification? And Ray, I think I know where you'll go with this, but how do you feel about the quantification of you're going to get X number of fertilizer applications and Y number of fungicide applications versus you're going to get this result and we'll stand behind the price. And that's that, So where are you guys on that? And do you think he has a legitimate, valid claim here that he doesn't know what he's paying for?
All right, here, let me, I'll try and keep it all in this window. I think one of the things that you're pointing out there is that when you market yourself with these type of outlines, you're being held to them in the same way a preacher would hold you to, following the Bible sort of thing, right? Like he's literally clutching that as if it's gospel. Nope, what I paid for is 2 fertilizer applications, 2 fungicides, 3 pre-emergent, 9 limes, whatever else, right? And in reality, we all know, anyone who operates a business knows it goes like this. Whatever you put on that sheet of paper, you have no fucking care what it says, right? That's just part of your material that you give to a customer, and what you end up applying through the course of the year may look absolutely nothing like that. You might apply fertilizer 6 times through the course of the year, 1 year. And where you normally applied 4 times for the course of the year and you applied a pound in each time, you might do 6 and you only run a half and you only ran a total of 3 pounds for the year, but you applied fertilizer 6 times. So now you're starting to get into like the semantics of it, right? And then it's again, I promise whoever he had quote this, the way they wrote that out is purely because they don't think. And you got to think when they're approaching this in mass, they have to appeal to their average buyer, right? And if you have a yard mastery sticker on your mower, you're probably not the average buyer. That's just flat out. And if they had if they had a sales rep go do that, the sales rep, you got to think they have been trained to sell to people on what they want to hear. And so I guess what I'm trying to allude to here, Demay, is that piece of paper that he's holding in his hand there is absolute fucking garbage bullshit. And he doesn't know it. Whoever owns that business knows it. Neither of them can say that it's bullshit. This guy, because he's trying to prove that what they're doing is wrong, and then the business owner, because he doesn't want to fucking tell you everything you do on the lawn, because he doesn't want you out there clutching that piece of paper, scolding him with it like he's beating you over the head with the Bible either, right? So it's like trying to balance between the two. And I think what you were saying is that if you just guaranteed a result, and I'm going to get it there over the course of 7 applications, however they seem to be fit, is probably the better way to approach it from a sales perspective. So that way you don't have to deal with clowns like this guy or, other people that are, like, but then again, Demay, I've run into situations too, where people are like, well, on this estimate right here, they're applying pre-emergence in the spring and the fall. I don't see that on yours. And Daddy told me that pre-emergence, the game changer between having a good lawn and a great lawn. Why aren't you doing 2 in the spring and the fall and only doing 2 in the spring, 1 in the fall? It's shit like that, right? So I don't know. I get it, but how many people are going to question you on that? I don't know, 2 a year, 3 a year. So is it worth to go ahead and just deal with those 2 or 3 people and approach it from the standpoint that you're guaranteeing a result versus if you hand them a sheet of paper like this that has it all spelled out, you're probably going to get the same 2 or 3 people that are like, well, you said on this round you're applying fertilizer, but you've applied fertilizer 4 times, and here it says only 2. Why are you doing, more than what you said you were going to do? So, I mean, I think it all averages out in the wash, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot as an industry by selling it that way. That makes sense.
It's fair.
Wow. I mean, I think Matt and Ryan have already read my mind as far as what I'm going to say about this. Haven't you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, you already know. So, because, okay, for Mr. Ass Clown here, the way I'd handle him is I'd say, okay, you'll have green grass, minimal weeds, end of story, and how I do it and when I do it is none of your goddamn fucking business. Period. That's how I would approach somebody like that. I mean, basically, he's got all of these people playing the games, and they can play the games because for other people that don't question, don't scrutinize. And by the way, I deal with people that scrutinize, That's my clientele. They scrutinize. And so, with him, I say, you know what? You're going to get green grass, no weeds, no diseases, period. How I do it, get fucked.
It's fair. All right, let's continue the video here and see what he breaks down.
I just think that's just crazy. So the second company I called is more the national company. They wanted $11.68, so $2 cheaper per year than the first company, which they only did it at 8 treatments per year. But they did give me 50% off my first treatment. So I'm getting a deal. Came out to be $146 per month. Again, it only included 2 fertilizations per year. They did say that they make 2 applications of weed control per year. So I'm assuming one of those is going to be a pre-emergent.
I don't know how believe anyone is putting down 2 fertilizer applications a year in this area. It's like that is entirely not real. And he either is ignoring it, where it might say fertilizer and weed control, or
that's
they
what I'm
may
wondering.
not spell it out on the program that when they apply pre-emergence, it's impregnated on fertilizer, and so it's not listed. And this guy is literally taking it as verbatim as it's written out. But that is complete. There is not a lawn care company in all of North Carolina that is applying only 2 fertilizer applications a year unless the customer specifically demands it. This is bullshit.
You break that into only 8 treatments, but nonetheless, they did say that included lime and a soil amendment, but didn't mention anything about a soil test. And this one does not include any fungus control, no mosquito. That was all extra. So for $146 a month, and you're not treating for fungus and you're not treating for mosquitoes or any sort of pests, ants, fire ants, anything like that. So,
all right. And real
again,
quick, this is the other thing that just absolutely chaps my ass is that what he keeps saying is $147 a month. But he said it's $1168 on the year. That's actually $97.33 a month. It's $140 an application. That's not a monthly cost. And if they're visiting 8 times over the course of the year, then of course that's not monthly. So if you're going to give an apples to apples comparison here, at least for Christ's sake, get the algebra right. That's all.
Shame on them for putting out
shame on your algebra.
maybe just pricing themselves that way. So I guess at the end of the day, like I mentioned,
the
question for me is, well, what?
I'm not here to bash them, but shame on them.
Shame on them.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Shame on them.
What am I really paying for? If I'm paying $150 a month, basically, to just have you fertilize and put down some preventative weed control, that's there's no way that can be worth it. And then, again, we talked about a soil test. And, obviously the average person who maybe is signing up for these programs, maybe they just don't know, how much fertilizer you need in a year, and they're just trusting these companies. So again, I ask myself, what am I paying?
I'll tell you when, but you're going to need to take a big old rip on that bad boy before we get into that.
And make sure I got plenty of battery.
Play. Go ahead and play.
All right, I'm good.
For. So, again, not trying to talk bad about these companies, but
yes, you are.
They're in business to make money, and maybe they're smarter than me. But anyway, so I'm going to bring you guys in my office. And we'll show you what it actually costs to do your own lawn care. And again, you're going to be super surprised by the result.
Give me 1 second here. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So we can sit here and bash all day about the agronomic practices of this company, but True Green's revenue, $1.495 billion in fiscal year 2022.
And again, I talk a lot of shit about True Green because I've been on the inside of it. One of the things I do know that's changed with them as PE has gone in and taken over is they have a new mid-level management director of agronomy positions that has opened up. And I will say their programs now look way more consistent than they used to, where the onus used to have to fall on the applicator to be able to make some of those deviated decisions. Are you still going to see people showing up and spraying when it's raining? Yes, because that's PE pressure. But I'll say that purely from an agronomic standpoint, if you look at what they're doing, I think a lot of their liquids now are like pre-formulated 17-3/8. They've gotten a little bit more creative with their weed management protocols. You're seeing a bit tighter on paying attention to some of the label things that go on, right? And so I'll say that they have improved in terms of a base agronomic perspective as far as what they do. Why you get such variance in results, part of that's going to come down to the individual applicator. Part of that's going to come down to the applicator having to make the judgment calls of conditions that are there and available, and being able to make those pivots in real time, right? So and I think that would fall into no matter which company it is. But I one thing I can guarantee you, my guy here, is that you do not have the experience or wherewithal to make any sort of educated estimate as to what they're doing, when they're doing it, why they're doing it. Regardless of how many Yard Mastery stickers you have, no matter how fresh your Crocs and socks are. And I hope that your program that you're about to pitch to us right now is going to be so dead nut spot on and airtight that I will literally have to put my foot in my mouth. I'm just praying that's the case.
I hope so too, Matt. I really hope so too, because here's what I notice about consumers doing their own lawn care. The ones that have no business doing their own lawn care do and apply all kinds of unnecessary shit, and at the wrong times.
Not
Full
this
stop.
guy, Ray. We're not going to see that with this guy. He's got it figured out. It's going to be perfect.
So let's bring you in the
I'll see.
office and let's look at it. All right, let's step in my office here and get down to business. Okay, so the first application that we're going to talk about is our fertilizer. And I chose the Yard Mastery flagship. Okay, so just for reference, again, my yard is 20,000.
Fuck's sake, really? For fuck's sake.
Just to make sure we're apples to apples here, how many truckloads of Yard Mastery Freedom Fert do you think get sent out to lawn care operators across the nation each year?
0.
0. As in
None.
Less than 1,
None.
but more than -1.
More than -1, but less than 1. Yeah, 0.
Okay. Just making sure that we got that all out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were talking about what the professionals charge per application. And so, you're going to be surprised. But so Yard Mastery flagship costs $69 per bag, and each bag weighs 45 pounds.
Pause.
Okay. So,
Matt, do you know any lawn care operators that are paying $69.99 per bag for a fertilizer that would be similar or of equal nutritional value and also slow release characteristics, all that of the 1776 from Yard Master?
13.
What would you
maybe $15?
Okay,
maybe we'll say as high as 20, maybe as high as 20, maybe in the certain.
We'll use a good round number and call it 20.
Okay,
all right.
I have seen it though, Ryan, and you know why I have seen it happen here with me locally.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole bunch of chuckle fucks and people that think that they're smart fertilizing real cut grass, and they got to do it with granules because they're too much of a dumbass to do it with liquids. And so you know what they're forced to use, Ryan, on that real cut grass that costs $69 per bag? Greens grade.
Oh yeah, greens grade, yeah, 100%. But at you're not going to find a 230, 250, 280 SGN fertilizer anywhere in the market unless someone absolutely hates you for $69 a bag. Like you're not going to do it.
Yeah,
greens grade, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, but then otherwise, this is just overpriced, overhyped shit, right? No more, no less. Yard Mastery, gravel.
Well, he's going to take us to school here. He's going to take us to school. So I'm waiting.
So the bag rate says 3 pounds per 1,000.
Okay.
So, something that you as a DIYer have to get comfortable with is learning your cost per 1,000 and not focusing so much on the cost per bag or per bottle. Some of these products, like this is oxystrobin, we'll talk about here in a little bit. It's almost $200. The O2IS is $100. Bifenthrin's not so much. It's $50-$60. But
okay, so
when you see this stuff,
that's $360 you've spent so far.
$200 for a fungicide, that's crazy. I can have a professional
plus $70 for the bag of Freedom Fert.
Oh, okay. So we're already halfway there, and
it's not going to cover the entire.
We're halfway.
Because that bought that's he's got it. He's got $93 or whatever. Let's let him go through this.
professional company do it for 140 or whatever. So, but if they charge extra. So anyway, back to the yard mastery. So getting comfortable with application rates and
Pause.
learning your cost per.
He said something right there I want to make sure that we highlight. So he said, you can pay that and buy the fungicide, or you can pay $146 or whatever, and they'll charge you extra. Matt, can you please explain to the general viewing public, right, why it might cost extra for a lawn care operator to fill his tank or her tank with fungicide and spray a lawn outside of something else that they might be doing in that particular visit? Why would that cost more?
Because the same way that there is a cost per thousand when you apply fertilizer, there's an additional cost per thousand that goes into various pesticides that you apply.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, not only that, but like when let's say I go get my oil changed, Matt, should I have to pay extra to have my tires rotated? Because, hey, I'm already there and the car is up there. You guys should just do that because you're already at my place, right? Even if it takes you a little bit of extra product, I'll pay for the product, but it's already there. Well, no, that's a completely different process involving a completely different set of tools, or maybe it has some crossover between the tools that we're using, right? And there's an inherent cost, right, that I don't have fungicide in my tank, or I'm going to use that only on specific lawns, and therefore it's going to take me more time, right? Because not only are you paying for the time, the equipment, the overhead, the labor, the cost of the chemicals and everything else, you're also paying for the expertise. And to what degree the expertise is on your lawn is up to you to choose by the company that you hire to come out there and treat your fucking property. Now, continue with the math, algebra boy.
1,000 is pivotal. It's something that you've got to learn. So we're going to be doing a lot of math in this. So just kind of hang on through this. So
you said there would
45-pound bag at 3 pounds per 1,000. That'll cover, obviously, I think the bag says 15,000 square feet. So that's 15 1,000 square foot sections. Okay. So to figure out my cost per 1,000, I take the total cost of the bag, divide that by 15, and it costs me $4.66 per 1,000. So you can do the math on your own yard. But for me to apply this at the bag rate is $93.20, which is pretty expensive for fertilizer. Fertilizer costs are pretty high right now, but hopefully.
Pause. Now there was there was a little bit of Ron Henry two-step there real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
146
a month was high, but yet here we are at 2/3 of that cost to do it myself. And listen, boys, I've just got the product and picked it up from the front door in my underwear from the UPS man. Maybe freaked him out a little bit, but that's beside the point. And now I still have to go out there, cut the bag open, try not to slash myself open, stink like fertilizer, go push the goddamn spreader around the yard. And I haven't even cleaned everything up yet, blown anything off the hard surfaces or anything like that. And yet I still need to go in, wash my hands out, drain my balls, get everything down the shower drain, and we can start all over again. But that 146 ain't worth it.
These people
Sometimes
don't know
you
what
can
they're
crank the
talking
shower for
about.
$146. Well,
Yeah, 146 ain't worth it because you know what, Ryan? On occasion, I get these cheap fucks that ask me how come so much, and then I tell them, okay, then you know what I do to them? I line up the bottles, right? I say, okay, here's the Exteris, here's the Celsius, here's the Eagle 20 EW, here's the ProStar, here's the Revolver, and then I tell them, okay, pal, ka-chunk, here's the Maruyama MS-75 and the gun that goes with it. Now do you think I'm too expensive?
I just went, just to be fair here on product, right? If we'll be apples to apples, I just went on, pulled down a price from someplace, and this isn't just professional. I'm getting retail pricing, right? From what you can get from this would be a professional grade fertilizer, right? 240 SGN, 200 SGN, 50% slow release product, nice product. You're looking at about $1.25 to $1.50 per 1,000 on that product. Same rate, 3/4 pound of N, right? 50% slow release, complete fertilizer, $1.25 to $1.50. I'm not good at math, but I'm pretty sure that $1.50 is less than.
Yep.
That's a lot less. As a matter of fact, that's a third of the cost.
A third of the cost.
466. Yeah.
And there'll be no lewd and lascivious charges from the UPS guy too. I mean, that's a plus. Although, you hired Jesse Bousquet. One, he's not going to take it easy on you. Two, he'll get you out of it, right?
He'll get you out.
You get off, he gets you out. Everybody gets. That's the way it works. All right,
Win-wins.
let's play it.
So how much fertilizer am I getting, right? Or how much nitrogen am I getting in the bag, right? So in order to figure that out, you take the bag weight of 45 pounds, okay? And you got to know the analysis of the bag. So 2406,
yeah,
the
it's
first number
0.72
represents
pounds.
the percentage of nitrogen in that bag. So at 3 pounds per thousand times the 24% of nitrogen in the bag, that gives me 0.72, or basically 3/4 pound of nitrogen, again, per 1,000 square feet, which is a pretty good shot of nitrogen. So the question you got to ask yourself is, and I'm not trying to make this into a comparison between, DIY versus the professionals, but
yes,
I mean,
you are.
What are you paying for? How
Yes,
much
you
nitrogen
are.
they putting down on your lawn?
Don't-
I mean, all
yeah,
they're
do
telling you
not
is the
gaslight.
cost. It's $139 per application, or $145 per application of fertilizer. But what does that mean? So again, that's just another added benefit of being a.
Or you could just ask.
That's all.
Or you can just ask. And
if somebody can't tell you, then you
here's-
probably shouldn't hire them. It's a
Yeah,
qualifying question as a buyer.
and wait a minute. You know what I then do if somebody asks me? I'm going to tell them, here, this is exactly where I buy this fertilizer from. However, if you show up there as a consumer asking to buy something, you know what the person at the counter is going to do to you?
Tell me.
I'll give you the middle
Okay,
finger.
this is what the
there
guy
it
at the counter is going to tell you. Because, yeah, here's my little rant with people. Say, you know what, pal? I ain't buying my shit from Home Depot. Okay, I ain't. So this is the difference. Yeah,
He doesn't. All right, let's let him go through his other parts of his program real quick, and then we're gonna jump into one more video from him. Just real quick, kind of finish this out. Go ahead and play this.
A DIYer. Let's look at the next one, which is weed control. Over here to weed control. All right. So I chose Speed Zone, which is a 4-way herbicide. Okay. So, again, trying to cover as many bases as I can, thinking about maybe more of a professional product. Maybe
using that at 1 ounce
at the big box
Speed
stores.
Zone is a 4-way.
Right. And so I do want to mention too that you can find
he's
all of these products are.
He's talking about coverages now.
He's in a 4-way. Okay.
Yeah. But
two modes of action.
are you using Speed Zone by itself at 1 ounce and doing anything other than pissing off a bunch of broadleaf weeds?
wow. Wow.
Herbicides are expensive.
Well.
Herbicides are expensive these days,
He makes
guys.
the numbers
Wait,
look
wait.
better, DeMay. He makes the numbers
And-
look better.
I'm just saying, like,
And you know what else?
take that big
here's
toe
what I
off the
noticed.
scale. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and here's what I noticed about this guy already is that, you know what? I see something on his bench that automatically red flags a lot because
I know
I
where
see
you're
that
going.
fucking bullshit scam adjuvant, okay? That fucking bullshit scam stuff. All right? I
Oh,
see
boy.
that. And here's the thing.
Already
is that,
though,
you know,
if we're at $100 on the fertilizer and $43 on the weed control, we're at basically $140 an application already. So
he's already
where
done it.
are
hasn't
we
he?
at on saving money? Because I'm
Yeah.
not picking up what you're putting down.
yeah, it's like because I'm trying to then, okay? And by the way, do you know why I'm a little bit leery of Speed Zone by itself in warm and cool season areas? Do you know why I'm leery about Speed Zone in cool season areas?
Oh, I
It's
have no problem.
No, it's poor on controlling violet and clover. It's not the
Yeah.
best.
No, and that's
It's poor on
no,
that.
it's not made for that. You're right, 100%. And that's why, again, even at that rate, against most anything, I'm very suspicious that you're going to see
Yeah, imagine a lawn full of wild onions, and you go out there with 1 ounce of Speed Zone.
Ooh,
Attaboy there.
Even
because
even dandelion gonna be like
Dandelions
dandel-
are
singed
no,
tips,
dandelion,
and then
yeah,
that's it.
singed tips, and
explode out of the ground.
because as I said, Speed Zone by itself. I mean, I can't think of a time when I myself have done Speed Zone by itself, because usually for me, Speed Zone was my kicker or my adjuvant for the rest of the things in my tank. I mean, this was the extra flavoring because, let's see, I got Monument in there, I got MSM in there, I got Certainty in there, or I got Celsius in there, and I got Revolver in there. Let's go.
Look, all right.
Just saying.
If there's anything that I've learned from this guy, exactly what he's told me is that, one, he's a shyster, and number two is that, look, I have no problem if anybody wants to do this DIY. Obviously, we help a shit ton of DIY people.
Mhm.
Are you going to end up saving a ton of money doing DIY? No, because first you have to make the transition to it, and there's going to be a massive upfront cost of acquisition. I mean, it's just how it's going to be. I mean, you're going to spend a year's worth of fertilizer treatments and some just to acquire everything you need. So really what it comes down to is that is it a hobby that you want to undertake because you get pleasure out of doing it and undergoing the diagnostic steps and seeing the fruits of your labor and all that? Or is it something you'd rather farm out because your time is better spent somewhere else? And the reality is that you're going to end up spending about the same amount of money regardless. And this guy just literally proved it, but is so fucking married to this idea that he has to simp for Alan and whoever else that he is completely bypassing how abysmal the numbers are, and to convince you, to gaslight the viewer into thinking that, oh yeah, see how much money I saved. Does he give a summary at the end of how much money he saved, DeMay?
No, we don't get there. There's actually a part 2 of this that just came out. Let's
dear.
let's quickly jump over to the fungicide real quick. I don't care about the pest control right now. Yes, here we go.
3 apps. And what are they doing? Are they just doing propiconazole? Are they doing just azoxystrobin? Are they mixing the two together to give you a good 28-day control? I have no idea. All right, so this is where I was talking about kind of some sticker shock with some of this stuff. So propiconazole, $99.95 per gallon. The use rate for my targeted fungus is brown patch is 1 ounce per 1,000. So you take $99.95, divide that by 128 ounces in a gallon is 78 cents per ounce. Azoxystrobin, as I mentioned before, okay, $199.95, $200 for that bottle, which is a lot of money. Use rate is 0.38 ounces per 1,000. So you take $199.95, divide that by 128, gives you a cost of $156.
Pause. Top end on that rate is 0.77, double that rate, right? If you're gonna get, you are not gonna get 28 days out of 0.38 ounces
out of the lowest rate
at all.
And
I don't care what the label says about that. We're not going over label maximums. We're just saying what you're gonna see.
What you're gonna
in
get
Western North Carolina? Fuck no.
Yeah, hell no. So essentially, he's going to be in for the shock of his life when brown patch season comes around and he's using all of these minimal rates on his lawn, isn't he, Matt? He's going to be in the shock of his life, right?
Yeah, if he's got a bad season, but this is what's going to happen is that he's going to catch 2 or 3 seasons in a row where he doesn't have high pressure. He thinks he does, but he doesn't have high pressure, and he gets away with this, and he's going to be like, man, you see, I am the grass god, and so I'm going to start making videos, and I'm going to put them on YouTube, and I'm going to teach everybody that I will be the DIY lawn coach, and I'm gonna teach these people how to do it exactly the way I do it, and then he's going to quickly learn. Well, not quickly, but over time, and as you experience more and you experience more subtleties and nuance of area to area, property to property, boy, you drive 100 miles outside of your area of North Carolina, and things aren't going to look exactly like they do where you live all of a sudden. And heaven forbid you lawn coach someone and they run into those issues. And then what are you going to do? What experience are you going to fall back on? Does he actually sell coaching? Of course he does. Of
Yes,
course he does. Yeah.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden, you're someone is paying you for your virtual coaching here. Okay. And I have no idea what it costs. He doesn't listen here. $99 for an hour phone call. Buddy, I'm telling you, I can think of probably 100 different scenarios that you would have no idea the difference between your ass and a hole in the ground. And it's almost worth it to pay you $99 just to watch you have a complete and total fucking meltdown because you have no idea what you're doing. And then because I'm an exceptional asshole, I'm not just a little bit, I have asshole problems that I feel like in my bones sometimes, is that I would give you that $100 just to be able to record it and then put it on the internet and mock you for a significant period of time after the fact. Again, buddy, you look, I hate to do this. I genuinely do. And I don't want to take away the joy you get out of lawn care, but where you're really overstepping your bounds is the fucking hoodoo math that you have not been able to get right, really. The way you try to hoodoo your way into rates in order to make the math appear more gentle than it actually is that if you just prefer doing it yourself, fucking say that and run with it. But this idea that you have any sort of leg up advantage over any of the professional companies you contacted, and that would include True Green, I promise you, buddy, that 90% of the lawn technicians at True Green would absolutely fucking rock your world in terms of what they see day in and day out versus what you've seen on your one property that you've lived at for however. Well, I've traded this property for 10 years by myself, and ain't nobody ever made it better look better than I have. Okay. You deserve a round of applause. Again, your average guy at True Green is going to be managing, we'll say 160,000 square feet a day times 5. That's 800,000 square feet a day. That's 28. That's 800,000 square feet a week. That's 20 acres a week times 50 weeks a year. You do the math on that, and you tell me. Who over treating 1,000 acres a year versus you treating your half acre 4 times a year at however much that is. Tell me honestly, in reality, do you stand a chance there? Do you stand a chance? Are you really in a position that you should be charging people $99 to consult with them for an hour virtually? I'll be real honest with you. No, you're a fucking clown. You're an absolute fucking clown. And what's amazing about it is that you were so brazen as to put it on the internet for the whole world to see and expose yourself as a clown that I can't help but lean into that and just make it loud and proud. I mean, it's Pride Month, where I'm gonna proudly announce to the world that you, sir, are a fucking moron.
The good thing is there's 2 good things. One is that you only have to pay us as little as $4 a month for hours of content and fun, lively, non-turf discussion at your fingertips. Check us out, www.patreon.com/Murder. The only thing we sell is access to a community of like-minded people that have not figured it all the way out and have learned that they have not figured it all the way out. And this week we're celebrating our 200th member in the Patreon. Who knew that there are 200 people that are dumb enough to listen to us? Because listen, we just watched somebody be really, really dumb about math and grass and everything like that. But seriously, people that apparently want to engage with us on a regular basis and hear us talk, nuts, crazy. All right. The second dumb thing is that we recently had a show in which Alan Hain, the lawn care nut, was ridiculing people that labels are to be interpreted by the common man and that there is no temperature restrictions for applications of fertilizer. Did we not hear that?
We heard it.
Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And we have agreed that the gentleman that we just watched, and if you go through his channel, you can see it. And listen, I have a problem with people who consult, quote unquote, and use that term. I consult, and I don't like using the word like that when you also sell product, right? And when you have solutions to sell.
Do you remember
people.
what Ron Henry told us, though? Is that
Yes.
if you provide answers and you don't sell the product, therefore the advice you give cannot be trusted, according to the fucking clown himself.
Says himself.
Yeah.
Dr. Travis Shadow.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in that vein, right? We've set the stage here for the DIY lawn coach to tell us about the caution that you should take when applying fertilizers in the heat. DIY lawn coach, please.
Is he about to get fired from Yardmaster and he doesn't know it?
You know, it's still pretty humid, but we never want to apply any
All the
fertilizer
products
or
are
really
linked below.
anything to our lawns when it's over 85 degrees, especially fertilizer, because these have some urea in them. You could potentially burn your lawn if you were to apply this
Ooh.
in direct
You saw it
sunlight.
canceled.
Always, you know, it's always a good idea to read the label. And the label will
If
tell
it's
you not
better.
to apply it over 85 degrees. So
And
things are cooling off, so we're good.
Replay that. Pause.
So,
Go back.
I
10
mentioned
seconds.
we-
Replay that. Listen.
Actually
very
burn
good.
your
Actually-
lawn if you were to apply this.
I see old
in
boy
direct
here
sunlight.
is about to do the ultimate fertilizer fuck up. This guy's about to do the ultimate fertilizer fuck up. And you know what that fertilizer fuck up is? He's going
Adjuvant
to
fertilizer?
load that. Yes, he's going to load that fertilizer solution with surfactants. I mean,
Be
man,
that-
because
Luckily, it's
Here's
really
the-
low analysis, so I don't
It
think
don't-
he's really running into much risk there. The surfactant alone may burn the grass if it's hot enough. And I would in fact, I would reckon to guess that if any of those products he has on the table has a temperature restriction, it's the surfactant, not the two fertilizers.
Correct.
Mhm.
And I did go back and look. These are Pete's fertilizers. They're fine.
Uh-huh.
They're good fertilizers. It has nothing to do with fertilizer. But listen to what he says here. That might go against
Mhm.
what Big Dick Daddy Alan has to say.
Like always, you know, it's always a good idea to read the label. And the label will tell you not to apply it over 85 degrees. So
Fired.
things are cooling off, so we're good. So I mentioned we
Pause.
switched from a
You're fired.
Alan
was
said,
he
I've
was
never
a
read
terrible,
it. I've read dozens.
He was a terrible. He was a terrible affiliate. The worst, just the worst affiliate you've ever seen. We didn't need him. That's why he's fired. You're terrible. What would Alan Trump's nickname be for old fucking flag hat here? I almost said it out loud. I
It would have just
flag
been
hat
Crocs
got
and
a little-
socks.
Yeah, Crocs and socks. Yeah.
That's what we got.
granular
tonight.
fertilizer over to
Boy,
a
your
liquid.
guns are on 10 there. I hate to do this. I try not to poke on people's appearances too, but buddy, your guns there, you might want to cover those up. Someone might drive by and yell something at the window at you. It's quite unimpressive.
This
Just
guy's
saying.
a
All right.
fucking weirdo.
Listen, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't have anything against
Yeah,
him
no
personally,
doubt.
but I think the message here is clear. One,
This
it's
is
a bad
so
premise.
disingenuous, though. This is
It's a
so
bad-
disingenuous.
Well, it's either disingenuous or it's just ignorance, and I don't know which one it is.
It's
I
disingenuous,
think- Fair enough.
in my opinion.
Er-
Just my opinion.
I honestly don't know. The thing that I'm saying though is that there is. I don't want somebody to watch this and say, "Well, yeah, geez, it is easier for me to buy my own stuff, right?" Regardless of where you buy it from. I don't even care if you buy it from Allen and Yardmaster and whomever, right? That's the irrelevant
sure.
part. The point is that if you choose to have a hardworking man or woman come out there and apply stuff to your lawn, you're not just paying for them to come and spread stuff all willy nilly, blow stuff all over the place. And if you are and you're getting that type of service, you should fire them anyway. You should have enough
Fucking fire
consumer
them.
confidence to get rid of them because there's better places and better people out there. The point of why you have
Especially
a lot
in North
of care
Carolina.
service-
There's a shit ton of great applicators in North Carolina.
and so to shit on them, I mean, that's the part that's disingenuous about the video. I'm not here to bash them. I'm not here to talk bad about them. But here again is 95% of the video in which I'm incredulously looking at the camera. But I just don't understand. Well, then you
I'm
should
not
ask
doing.
those
I don't
questions.
want to compare, but this
I
is the
wanna
way
com-
I've compared them.
Yeah, this is the way I've compared it. That I don't know what I'm paying for. You know what? You know what you're paying for, pal? You're paying for their equipment, and you're paying for the fact that your fat ass can stay in the house while they bust their ass sweating in the sun. You motherfucker.
and the risk.
God
the
damn
risk.
it.
How many appliance repairmen do we see that kill an entire neighborhood's worth of grass in South Dakota and have to fucking sod all that shit? I mean, the
Or-
risk that is being
or-
borne by an applicator
doing-
and the company that they
or-
work for is massive.
Or Ryan, the worst one that I can think of is, all right, here is a tree-lined neighborhood, right?
Oh yeah.
If your speed zone app goes sideways, aloha to the trees, okay? Aloha, because last time I checked, 2,4-D and dicamba, they're excellent at killing trees. Just saying.
No. At those suborgasmal rates, I think we're just going to have to settle for a nice case of blue balls. Which is about what you'll get from wearing Crocs and socks as an adult. All right. With all that being said, it's been a great show. We hope you all have enjoyed, and this has been a wholesome, well spent 90 minutes with us, the chuckle fucks that you love and dote on daily, hopefully, maybe at least just weekly, just at least 3 hours a week, 2 hours a week, whatever it is. And our patrons are going to join us right now to name the show. And after that, we will get on out of here, and we'll be back on Wednesday with Levi. We've got another golf guy on. It should be a
young buck too.
All right.
Psyched.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
Y'all have a great
fucking
one.
go.